Thank you so much for joining us for this Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy, and I'll be hosting today's show. Up first, let's see, hazardous weather graphics. We've got no watches, warnings, or advisories out anywhere in the state currently and through tonight. And so that's probably going to hold true, at least for the moment. And moving on to the breakup map here, you can see a lot of some open water all the way down on the Yukon here until it meets the Porcupine River, and basically mostly open or just outright open here either side of Eagle. And then farther down the Yukon, Circle actually due to go out at any time from what I heard. And then farther down toward the Delta, it's really areas of open water there, and ice is really just about ready to go out altogether there. And of course the Kuskokwim River is done, and then still iced up on the rivers to the north, the Koyukuk, Kobuk, and of course the North Slope rivers, Colville, still pretty well solid. And river forecasts are now being issued for the Tanana River as well as rivers through the southeast coast. Now moving on to fire danger. Not much change from yesterday, except this zone up here north of the Yukon and along the Porcupine River there, northeast upper Yukon Valley, and in the south, just south of the Brooks Range there, is a little smaller than it was yesterday. And again, this high fire danger is for the fuel type known as grass. And moving on, satellite imagery. A lot of cloudiness here, produced a fair amount of precipitation over portions of the Copper River Basin. Even today, still lingering, had about 1/4 of an inch today at Cordova of rain, and a trough here off the southeast coast. That's beginning to increase the showers and rain once again, mostly along the north coast, but mostly cloudy with some scattered and isolated showers down to the south. Otherwise, a place like Eureka here west of Gakona, they picked up about 6 inches of snow overnight. And over at Gakona, they had 1 inch of snow early this morning for a while there, and still pretty showery conditions continuing into the afternoon, and to a lesser extent north of the mountains there, but a lot of clouds up across the Tanana Valley, as you can see. And then looks like a little bit of clearing back to the west. Also some clearing here, southern Cook Inlet, a lot of thinner clouds, precipitation free anyway. And then we have this front out to the west that's bringing rain into the eastern Aleutians and starting to kick the winds up a little bit here over the Alaska Peninsula with some rain as well. Cold basin winds gusting 30-35 miles an hour this afternoon, about the same at St. George Island. And Nikolsky had gusts 45 miles per hour. Otherwise, winds were much lighter back to the west. Lots of clouds and showery conditions from Atka. Then the showers end by the time you get to Shimia. Otherwise, up here in the eastern Arctic coast, clear skies today with still some pretty gusty winds up to 30 miles an hour out of the east there, but you can see a swath of clearing down across the eastern Brooks Range. Upper level low, cold upper low back right through here, pulling westwards. That's going to spread some, it's going to keep the cold temperature up in that area and start to increase the clouds. You can see just about ready to make an appearance there at the observing sites up in that area. Maybe even some light snow coming in later tonight, continuing into tomorrow. On the chart today, a weak trough up here, scattered areas of rain and snow, of course, depending on your time of day, all the way up to the western Arctic coast, temperatures in the upper 30s in some locations, and band of snow here for the southern Seward Peninsula. Nome snow the entire day over to Golovin, and isolated rain or snow showers, pretty light precipitation in St. Lawrence Island, but some clearing here, portions of Cook Inlet, back into the Kuskokwim Valley, up into the areas of west of Fairbanks, and then this system bringing the moisture and breezy conditions into the eastern Aleutians and Alaska Peninsula. And a trough right out the southeast coast tonight will drift inland And after midnight, precipitation will begin to, even the showers will start to taper off toward morning and end up to the north there, just cloudy skies and the rain pushing off into Canada. A little bit of a break behind here. So look for some partial clearing, dry conditions, North Gulf Coast, diminishing showers over the Copper River Basin, but up toward the mountains, they'll probably linger into late tonight, early tomorrow morning. Dry in the central interior, back down into the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta. Chance of rain, Bristol Bay, periods of rain or continuous rain and fog for Kodiak Island, maybe gusts to 30 miles an hour out of the southeast. And drying out here in the northwest with this trough slowly pulling off to the west, and this one coming in from the east will begin to increase that snow chance up there over the eastern Arctic coast, and no change out over the Aleutians, light winds, clouds, and a lot of showers. Showers are probably diminished tomorrow out that way with a low center here, about 990 millibars, but the gradient really weak, not much at all here, even in advance of that. Some showers with this trough into the Alaska Peninsula. Moisture lifting northward, so rainfall chances increase here. Cook Inlet, South Central Alaska, Kenai Peninsula, mostly on the southern coast of the Kenai Peninsula into Prince William Sound, eastward over toward Yakutat, and pretty good chance of rain from Seward to Seldovia, Homer, Port Muller, in across Kamishak Bay to Bristol Bay, and just cloudy skies, isolated showers for the southeast coast. Any sun at all, consider that a bonus. Better chance of some sunshine up here over the Koyukuk Valley, back out toward Kotzebue, maybe Kivalina, and then cold temperatures and periods of light snow, fog, but amounts not too significant here over the eastern North Slope and Arctic coastal areas. And out over the Bering Sea, we've got for Monday, low develops here, or actually pushes up in a weak system with a trough to the northeast. Look for areas of light rain or snow associated with that. Cloudy skies, really mostly cloudy across all the southwest interior to Bristol Bay with scattered showers. Looks cloudy with a few showers around for south central Alaska. A little more numerous along the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound. And this quite a warm front coming northward here. That's going to spread moisture, increase chance of rain along the southeast coast, especially in the afternoon, mainly from, say, Port Alexander up to Elfin Cove, and but still cloudy for the remainder of the area there. Not too bad. Some sunshine breaking out over the Tanana Valley, 40-mile country, and temperatures as a result will rise into the definitely into the upper 50s, maybe even lower to mid 60s up in this area on Monday. And then quite a widespread area of clouds, light snow and flurries up here for the, from the Brooks Range up across the eastern North Slope on out to the Arctic coast, just flurries for the central coast there. Offshore flow, gusty east winds or east-northeast winds will probably result in some definitely VFR and probably some sunshine there from actually Point Hope all the way down, maybe Kotzebue. Generally cloudy there, and more northerly on the wind flow out here over the Aleutians, but showers pretty isolated. Clouds widespread though. The showers become a little more scattered here as you get into the eastern Aleutians due to the trough here lying across the area. And for the forecast lows for tonight, lower to mid-teens here, is down under 10, 9 degrees for Arctic Village as that chilly air pulls in from the east. Otherwise milder, mid to upper 30s here for the southwest interior to Bristol Bay and the Aleutians. Upper 30s to lower 40s here for the southeast coast, and upper 20s to lower 30s from the Copper River Basin, mostly in the mid-20s, the upper Yukon Valley. Highs for tomorrow in the 50 to 55 degree range, south central Alaska. Upper 40s to lower 50s, Tanana Valley. Upper 40s, southwest interior, in the 50s for the Panhandle, and highs in the 20s for the Brooks Range and eastern Arctic coast. And lows the following morning, about like they will be tomorrow morning, just about everywhere here around the state. Looks a little milder, though, lower to mid 40s for the southeast coast. Otherwise, upper 30s to lower 40s, Alaska Peninsula here, Aleutians, Kodiak, and then followed by highs 55 to 65, Tanana Valley, 40-mile country, lower 50s all the way down to the southwest coast, 50 to 55 south central Alaska, 50s for the Panhandle, 20 to 30 for the highs, North Slope, and the Arctic coast.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Moving on to flying weather, lots of marginal VFR over the Bering Sea and Aleutians, into the southwest coast, on up through the Bering Strait, and along the southern slopes of the DeLong Mountains here, otherwise VFR, most of the interior, starting out with possible IFR, Copper River Basin, Gulf of Alaska though, VFR, marginal VFR over most of the panhandle. And for the afternoon, that breaks out here somewhat in most areas, but then we've got IFR sliding on up to the Kenai Peninsula, southwestern Prince William Sound, Montague Island. IFR also coming northward, northeastward here, and then kind of backing into the east side of the western Alaska Range for developing IFR conditions there. Also over the southwest mountains, Togiak Bay into Kuskokwim Bay, Cape Newenham IFR, Alaska Peninsula IFR. VFR here, fairways off the coast, Nunivak Island, not quite to the Pribilofs, right on the edge for St. Lawrence Island. Interior looking really good right on out to the Arctic coast, but marginal there on the east side. And for Monday morning, a lot of moisture coming up here, southwest flow. So that socks it in for Prince William Sound as far as the IFR goes. They are over to about Yakutat, actually a little beyond, marginal VFR northern panhandle, and then some areas of IFR here over the southwest interior, then VFR, again for the Seward Peninsula, on down to the Pribilof Islands now for Monday morning, and then for the afternoon, right on the edge there for the Pribilofs, the Aleutians still in the marginal zone, as well as the southeast bearing into the southwest interior. Good VFR over the interior, north central areas into Canada, and a swath of VFR just coming down from the Copper River Basin in across the Matanuska Valley, Cook Inlet area. Otherwise marginal down to the south, and the southeast coast looking pretty marginal. Looking at passes, Anatuvik, VFR tomorrow, as well as Adigan, and Lake Clark and Merrill, signaling's visibilities coming down throughout the day, and so starting out VFR, possibly becoming IFR, especially on the eastern approaches, both passes there in the late afternoon. And for rainy, VFR trending down to marginal in the afternoon. Windy, VFR for the most part, southern entrance trying to go marginal throughout the afternoon, may or may not make it. And for Isabel, marginal VFR. Mentesta, I think will be mostly VFR, at least in part throughout the day Sunday. And Tanita, VFR, trending toward marginal conditions. Portage, marginal VFR, IFR in the eastern entrance. Chilkoot and White, VFR becoming marginal. And for the freezing levels, 2,000 to 4,000 feet here across the southeast coast, in across the Gulf of Alaska. Then 2,000 feet slips on up across the southwest interior here to the western interior, along with the surface. And out west, not too much of a gradient, about 2,000 feet or so there across the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And for icing, a lot of moisture coming up, so pretty good chance of seeing some considerable moderate trying to push into Prince William Sound, Montague Island over to maybe Cordova in the afternoon there. Otherwise, some areas of light to isolated moderate rime here back to the west and also over the Alaska Peninsula. Taking a look at the jet stream. Here's this upper level low backing westward here, cold low, into the northeast interior areas. Otherwise, a big trough out here over the Bering Sea, southwest flow, aimed almost right at Yakutat there with some weak ridging over the southeast coast and 9,000 foot winds. Southwest flow here, again, that'll be pulling the moisture northeastward and then kind of pulling it back into the north-northwest here as it reaches the coast on 25 to 30 knot winds. Southwest 20 to 30 and across the panhandle. Lighter conditions, this low feature coming westward there, bringing the chillier, snowier conditions along with it. And wind southeast, 25 knots along the coast or so. Kind of elongated low center out here, so looking at really not too bad wind-wise, about 20 knots there for the western Alaska Peninsula. And then it's pretty light for the Fox Islands all the way back out to Kiska, and only picking up to 20 knots there towards Shimya. Much the same pattern at 3,000 feet, pretty light winds over the Aleutians, and only 20 knots out of the northeast for the central northern Bering Sea, maybe up to 25 along the coast. 25 to 35 knot winds here coming up to the North Gulf Coast, and lighter 10 to 15 knot easterlies there in the interior, and southwest 15 to 20 for the Panhandle. Turbulence, looks like considerable moderate chops, especially for smaller aircraft here, Prince William Sound, Kenai Peninsula, Kamishak Bay, and across the Iliamna Lake. Otherwise, light to isolated moderate for Kodiak and the Aleutian Range. After the break, I'll be back with a look at the sea ice conditions and the marine forecasts.
Hello, I'm a GOES-R series weather satellite orbiting 22,000 miles above Earth. I can see a lot of cool stuff from up here, and I take pictures of it with my spiffy camera that has 16 different settings. I have such good eyesight, I can see clouds, snow, smoke, smog, and ash, so I can warn you about dangerous conditions and help you avoid them. When storms are brewing, I watch them closely and help with hurricane, tornado, and flood warnings to help keep you safe. And my lightning mapper tracks lightning strikes way up in the sky, even through dark, dense clouds. I also help with search and rescue missions. I listen for distress signals from emergency beacons and tell search and rescue teams just where to find people who need help. But even when I'm keeping a close eye on Earth, I'm monitoring weather out here in space, too. I watch the sun for big bursts of energy, which send waves of radiation toward Earth that can affect power grids, block communication with planes, cause errors in GPS, and damage satellites. Space weather is also very dangerous for astronauts working outside the International Space Station. I warn them so they can get inside where they'll be safe. So the next time you watch a weather report or check your phone for the forecast, remember, that's me. So look to the sky and wave. I'll be here. Whoa! Things are looking pretty bad down there. But don't worry. I'm going to give weather forecasters a heads up and help you stay safe. I'm a GOZAR series weather satellite, and one of my jobs is to keep an eye on Earth's weather as I orbit above. But I'm 22,000 miles above Earth. How does your local weather forecaster know what I see all the way up here? First, I have to figure out what's going on. I point my special camera at the Earth and take pictures of the clouds I see below. My pictures show where the clouds are, but I also take lots of other notes about the clouds. For example, how high they reach into the atmosphere, how much rain they might cause, and when a severe storm may be forming. But I can't keep all of this information to myself. I have to share it with weather forecasters down on Earth. A big antenna is waiting for my call. Since I'm a satellite, I send my pictures and notes in a computer language of ones and zeros. Luckily, the antenna speaks my language. Computers connected to the antenna organize my notes and combine all of the pictures and cloud information and translate them into weather maps. They send a version of the maps back up to me. I'll hold on to these for later. Another copy of the maps is split into smaller pieces. This helps the maps move faster from one place to another. The map pieces are then sent for processing before being sent back up in the sky to a communication satellite. From there, the maps are picked up by antennas at the National Weather Service forecast offices in each region. There are more than 100 offices. I also take the maps that I received and send them out to companies that specialize in making the maps more colorful and better for viewing on TVs and computers. The colorful maps and the maps from the forecast offices then go to your local weather forecaster. The forecaster combines the information from these maps with lots of other information, like model forecast data and radar data, to make predictions about the upcoming weather in your area. And that's how I help you find out if bad weather is going to ruin your afternoon plans. You're welcome. Soon it will be my time to shine. In outer space. I'm the GOES-R satellite. That stands for Geostationary Operational Environmental Satellite. And the R stands for my order in this series of weather satellites. Like my older siblings before me, I'll do a lot for watching weather, but I'm pretty special because I have a lot of new gadgets. I'm originally from Colorado, but my journey to space has a few stops along the way. I'll be shipped in a very special satellite shipping container to Kennedy Space Center. Moving me around is not easy. I'm over 18 feet wide and weigh 6,000 pounds. And then things get really exciting. I get loaded onto an Atlas V541 launch vehicle. A big rocket! Woo! After Atlas and I blast off together, my compartment separates from the launch vehicle and I continue to climb higher and higher. Then I break away completely and unfurl my solar panel and antenna. After that, I have to use my thrusters to get into just the right position, 22,000 miles above the ground and traveling 1.9 miles per second to keep up with Earth's rotation. And then I can officially start my job along with my fellow GOES sisters, where I take advanced pictures for more accurate weather forecasts, map lightning in real time, and improve the monitoring of the sun's activity. It's going to be so awesome! I can't wait!
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Today's sea ice analysis. Still showing a kind of a slow dissolve here, the sea ice, especially south of the Bering Strait and along the Yukon Delta coast, and a little bit slower up here, Chukchi Sea, and continuing to slowly thin out along the western, even the central Arctic coast. Coastal water forecast for tomorrow, pretty good here along the panhandle. Light winds, west 10 knots, south coast, south at 10 on the north coast. Inside water areas, westerlies 10 knots, seas at about 2 feet. Lynn Canal, though, in the afternoon, those winds should be south at 20 with seas 4 feet. And then that'll increase quite a bit on Monday here. Lynn Canal, southeast 25, gust 40 knots. Otherwise, winds coming up to 20 knots out of the south on the north coast, 15 on the south coast, and south winds for Clarence Strait, 15 knots. Passage Canal southeast at 15. Prince William Sound tomorrow, easterlies, 20 knots, 4-foot seas. Small craft advisories for the North Gulf Coast, east-southeast winds, 30 knots with 7-foot seas. Gale warnings still out for the Barren Islands, east 35 knots and 40-knot easterlies in the forecast for Kamishak Bay. And small craft advisories, southern Cook Inlet, northeast picking up to 25 knots and 20 knots north of the Forelands. For Monday, lighter winds here for Cook Inlet, northeast 15 to 20 knots, 3 to 5-foot seas, southeast 20 coming down quite a bit there for Kamishak Bay, 15-knot winds for the Barren Islands from the southeast, and the North Gulf Coast, east-southeast 15 to 20, seas around 7 feet. Still, winds east 20 knots in Prince William Sound with 4-foot seas. And for Kodiak Island on the east side, small craft advisory, southerlies at 25 knots. A little stronger Shelikof Strait out of the east at 30, and then 25-knot winds for small craft advisories here from Sitkinak to Castle Cape, and then Castle Cape to Cape Sarachef, south 20 with 8-foot seas. Bering Sea side of the Alaska Peninsula, east 15 with 3-foot seas. Small craft advisories Bristol Bay for those northeast winds at 25. And for Monday, those drop off to 15 knots, become more southeasterly, south 15 for the Alaska Peninsula, all the way up, including Kodiak Island, Shelikof Strait. And for the Fox Islands, on Alaska Island, south of the island, south at 20, north side east 20, and then southerlies 10 to 15 out toward Nikolsky, turn west at 10 to 15. Good light winds there, really laying down for the central Aleutians tomorrow, and kind of variable out to the west and becoming northwest 20 west of Kiska. And the outlook for Monday, those continue to increase back to 25 knots there west of Kiska to Shemya, north 20 knots from Amchitka all the way across to Atka, and then north-northwest 15 knots there for Unmak Island, go south 10 to 15 for Unalaska Island. And for the southwest coast, northeast winds at 20, seas running about 6 feet or so, east 20 for the Pribilofs, east 20 also for St. Matthew Island, 15 to 20 knot northeast winds, not too bad for St. Lawrence Island and Norton Sound. And for Monday, northeast 25, so small craft advisories into these areas with 4 to 5 foot seas, and north Nunivak Island, northeast 25, north 25 for St. Matthew Island, winds lighten up as you head south, just 15 knots to the Pribilofs, and southeast 15 there along the southwest coast, south of Nunivak Island. East winds 25 knots. They'll be kind of on the chilly side too, with that colder air coming in. Brisk wind advisories for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, 20 knots on the central coast, lighter winds on the west side, and then southeast winds 10 to 15 from Wales up to Cape Beaufort. And then for Monday, looking like this, northeast 15 knots here for the area from Wales to Cape Thompson, and then up to about Cape Beaufort from Cape Thompson, northeast 25, turn east 25, means brisk wind advisories in those areas. 15 knots out of the northeast there, central east side, pick up to 20 knots as you get over toward Demarcation Point. And for tonight again, we've got a thing coming westward here, bringing, keeping the actually colder air and some snow with it, starting to encroach in the area later tonight. Otherwise, weak trough, diminishing showers, Copper River Basin, and dry here over much of the interior. Rain spreads into Kodiak Island along with breezy conditions. Showers start to diminish as that weak system moves in, and tomorrow, just isolated showers left around with mostly cloudy skies, and then rain up to the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, Southern Kenai Peninsula, Homer, Seldovia, into Kamishak Bay, Bristol Bay, scattered showers up the Alaska Range, mostly east of the Kuskokwim Valley, some clearing up here in the interior, and flurries continue on the eastern North Slope Arctic coast, showers and cloudy skies for the Aleutians. And for Monday, rain spreads into the southeast coast in the afternoon.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.